Today we are doing a yellow reading. So what does this mean? I don't really know. I don't really know. Clearly I've been inspired by these flowers, which by the way are another set of flowers that I found on my walk in the ditch. If you've tuned into some of my other videos, you know that since I've started this channel, which is relatively recently, flowers now are like calling me, and it's so bizarre. And but in the most joyful way. Like it's been such an incredible joy. And through that, I'm just noticing nature more, and I am just blown away by what I've missed in the past. Like, look at these. They're like just vibrant. So both sets of these flowers called me on a walk the other day. These ones were everywhere in the ditch, but there was a particular cluster of them where it like ignited and I saw them and I was like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. And then these little babies are just like, they were like, I almost didn't go to them because I was like, I already know what type of flower you are. I already got you on my videos. Like I kind of said that to them. And then I was like, fine, I'll come look at you. And then they were ones I had never recorded on my videos yet. And they just like went beautifully with this whole yellow theme. So I think I'm just blown away by the vibrancy of this yellow. And I've had this arrangement on my kitchen table or dining room table for a few days, and it's just brought me so much joy. So I hope it's doing the same for you. It inspired this yellow reading, which I have no idea what that means, except for I pulled yellow cards from two decks. One is the Prism Oracle, which is a deck based on color, and the other is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, which is a deck based on chakras, with each chakra represented by a color. Okay, so we are going to pull one card from each of these decks. Again, just the yellow ones are here, to get a message for you at the time you view this video, and we'll read about each one of these cards in their guidebooks. Okay, so here we go. Yellow reading. Let's see. Oh, that one wants to come out. Oh, abundance. How fun. Yes. Okay, and let's get a clarifier for abundance, please. Anxiety. Interesting. All right. All right. So we'll start with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle here. So we're going to read about the yellow cards overall, and then we'll get to this specific card, abundance. So yellow is explore your thought processes. Overall impression, intellectual. Keywords, creative, intellect, precise, cooperative, reasonable, innovation, originality, wisdom, and instinct. Manifesting intention. The yellow cards of the third chakra, the solar plexus chakra, reveal our planning processes. And your solar plexus is an energy center that's right at the center of your being. It's that space above your belly button, and it's your energy center of empowerment and personal power. Do you have a logical or scattered approach? Because they represent thinking and problem solving, yellow cards reveal our ability to resolve issues. In essence, they show what's on our mind. In yellow, you turn on the lights and let the spirits know you are home. If you don't let them know where you are, they cannot bring us our desires. If we don't let them know where we are, they cannot bring us our desires. Ultimately, the third chakra relates to our instinct and how our life is directed by it. When we see how our instinct guides our thoughts, we will understand why we do what we do. And when it relates to our emotions, instinct is frequently the first thing that gets shut down. Remember what I said. Look to the previous chakra, the second chakra in this case, if you feel blocked. Every decision you have ever made is in a flash, to move forward or to stop. There is a moment, a split second, in which we decide. In this chakra, you decide if you will allow magic into your life. All right, so let's talk about the abundance card in particular. It looks like it's the last yellow card. So typically sometimes the placement of where a card is in a deck has messages. And I think one thing that could be saying is just like as we mature in our solar plexus energy, as we mature in what it means to stand in healthy, true personal power, there is an abundance in that. So I'm going to read you this. If you've never encountered the chakra wisdom oracle before, one thing about it that I really love that I like to mention is it's a very whimsical and nuanced. And so there's like she gets at the message of the card in a lot of different ways. So there's like a little story, there's key words, so on and so forth. So just really, really pay attention to what sticks out to you personally, because again, she's going to come at it in a few different ways. Okay, abundance, gold coins. I only seek to give you what you ask for. The legend. Inside a magical treasure chest. Say that again. Inside a magical treasure chest. Gold coin swap stories. One coin tells how a man foolishly dropped her down the drain, then cried instead of trying to get her out. Later, an enterprising little girl used a string and chewing gum to fish her out. The coins remember how this girl saved them. Along with many others, the coins remember how this girl saved them, along with many others, and eventually bought a house. As all coins desire to be well spent, they agree that she was indeed a wise person. Inspiration. Think about your relationship with money. Are you the wise girl or the foolhardy man? Money is naturally attracted towards appreciation and gratitude. Personal inquiry. Be wary of using your financial situation as an excuse to avoid doing something. Are your thoughts and actions around money empowering or disempowering? Key ideas: abundance through gratitude, releasing regret, being good with money. Keywords: friendship, wisdom, windfall. Meditation. Place the money before you. Pick it up. Have you thought about how many souls have touched it before it came to you? Feel its energy. The value we derive from money is the exchange of energy. Imagine this money transforming into your desire. Be aware of your improved relationship with money. And then there's a little summary here. Abundance. Gold coins. Gold represents the power of the mind to choose. One choice may be wise and the other foolish. Choosing well may involve temporary sacrifice in order to gain your desires. Remember that you can always make a new choice. So take a breath. Take note of what stood out to you with that reading. And then I'm going to read about this anxiety card. It almost looks green, but it's actually a part of the yellow family in this book. So I'm going to read about that, and then we'll kind of like debrief a little bit. So we'll start the same way we started with the chakra deck. I'll read about the yellow cards in general. Yellow is perhaps the most polarizing of all colors. It has been associated with the sun, gold, divinity, positivity, and self-esteem. And at the same time, it correlates to illness and cowardness. Yellow is connected to the solar plexus energy center. This energy center sits over the stomach, which is often thought of as a second brain, and helps control our moods and emotional needs beyond what our first brain, the one in our heads, tells us. It is also tied to the adrenal glands, which triggers the fight or flight response, resulting in anxiety. Yellow is a primary color and also a high visibility color. It is one of the colors that the human eye is most sensitive to, and as a result is often used to signal safety or caution. Yellow cards in a reading. If you draw mostly yellow cards in a reading, it may be a prompt to take a look at the duality of a situation. Yellow itself has many double and contradicting meanings. So how is that duality arising in your life? Are you perhaps in a single-minded state and not able to see other perspectives? Take a moment to look at the situation from all angles and then trust what feels right to you. Well, isn't that interesting? Because here we have what seems like a dual message, right? Abundance and anxiety. So I just love what she said there, because so yellow almost kind of represents paradox to a certain extent, right? And as I'm speaking this out, that makes a lot of sense because yellow is our energy center of power. So how do we have true power? I think it's when we can have capacity. Do you know what I mean? When we can have capacity for the complexities of life, for the paradoxes of life, that in that capacity is where we have true power, right? And so I think that is coming out here, right? Like abundance and anxiety. I almost wonder if part of this message is if you think abundance is never having to also have capacity for anxiety or things that are difficult, that's not true abundance. Like something about there being true abundance in solar plexus power. What is solar plexus power? Capacity for life. And I also think that kind of came through in this message because I felt like one thing that was being implied in the abundance cards message was that true abundance is wisdom, right? True abundance is capacity. And so I think that's just so interesting that she read that. And I think I've read that before. It just hasn't really stuck with me that yellow represents paradox to a certain extent. Then we do a yellow reading and paradox comes out, I think, for one of the messages of just like understanding true power, that eliminating bad stuff from life, for lack of a better way of saying it, isn't abundance and it's not true power. That's just like fantasy and pleasure, right? But what seems to want to be spoken through the vibrancy of this yellow is what you're actually seeking is not pleasure, and it is not more, and it is not it's true abundance and it's true power. And true power always comes from building our capacity to be with the reality of things. So let's read about anxiety. Anxiety. When you're feeling anxious, it is usually because you're very worried about something that has an uncertain outcome. When this happens, we write a script in our heads, creating an outcome that is most likely far worse than the actual outcome. Try your best to stay in the present and not focus on events that haven't occurred yet. That's nice, right? Because it's, again, bringing our attention back to what true power is, right? We get anxious when we use our power against ourselves, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't think we should bypass fear, right? I think we should listen to our emotions, but not have them be in charge and realize what their messages are. And sometimes the message of anxiety is that I'm using my power incorrectly. Do you know what I mean? And so there's true abundance in wisdom, in decoding emotions and decoding life. There's true abundance in understanding that true abundance is more complex than simply more. And if you've listened to my videos before, I bring this up a lot because it's been a big lesson in my life. Because I oversimplified things like abundance to the point where you do, like my idea of abundance was in fantasy land. My idea of what a joyful life would be was really more about pleasure, right? And so as I've been doing my healing work, I've gotten into a different relationship with abundance, and I've realized that there's a lot more complexity to it, that sometimes it means simplifying, and sometimes it means cleaning up, and sometimes it means getting more into a flow or into a sustainable flow in this area of my life. Sometimes it does mean more, but abundance in its true form aligns with Mother Nature, right? And in Mother Nature, there is so much abundance. Like if you open up, like we had the second year of a kale plant come up, and then in the second year when kale plants come up, there's seeds. It's when it makes its seeds. Is that what you say? Makes its seeds? Okay, you get it. But oh my God, this one plant has created thousands of seeds. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's such a lesson of how abundant Mother Nature is, right? However, is it always that abundant, or is it always that much, right? No, like at one point that plant was a seed, And at one point it was just a little seedling. And at one point it was just creating food for my husband and I. And now in its second year, it's creating food and seeds. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's always been abundant, but abundance, there are seasons, and it's always been abundant, but abundance doesn't always mean more in a very particular way. And so I think there's definitely a call to not only see abundance in that way, but just also like anything good. So true power, true tranquility, true peace. As instead of trying to eliminate things, it's more about building our capacity for the reality of things. Do you know what I mean? And the reality of life is that there's joy and there's hardship. And the reality of life is that there's abundance and there's anxiety. Do you know what I mean? That and that's how she spoke so beautifully about that, how yellow represents that. Like, there is duality in this world. And if we think we are going to get what we truly, truly desire through trying to eliminate one aspect of the duality, you know what I mean? So thinking that for what abundance is just like eliminating lack and just getting more. Or thinking that what peace is just eliminating anxiety and just having pleasure. Do you get what I mean? But realizing there's actually a wiser understanding of all this. And instead of elimination or fragmentation, the understanding is that we can build capacity.